Hey guys, Gazelle here, back with more NFL picks. We're on week 3 of the NFL. Last week I went 9-6-1, the exact same record that I went week 1. So I didn't improve, I didn't degrade, I guess. Although if you don't improve, it's not exactly a good thing. I'm starting to actually now consider counting the ties. I didn't count it last week, I marked it as a loss. But if we're going to keep getting ties this season, which I don't think we'll get any more, but I'm just going to include the 2 ties that we have so far. So now my overall record is 18, 12, and 2. So I am positive, but it needs to get better, and I aim to do that this week. So without further ado, let's go to Thursday Night Football. We have the Jets at the Browns. Man, the Jets, they just can't get, or the Browns, they can't get out of their own way. Gonzalez had probably one of the worst performances for a kicker in an NFL game you could possibly ever imagine. And I would know. I'm a Vikings fan. I've seen plenty of bad kicking games. I'll get to that later. But at the Browns, the Jets come in after a disappointing loss to the Dolphins. Darnold didn't play terrible, but he didn't play great either. Some of his, I don't know. It was just kind of a weird game, and I still really do like Sam Darnold, and I think he's going to bounce back. But the Browns' defense has been underrated. They've actually been playing pretty well this year. They went to New Orleans and kept Drew Brees in check most of the game. That's pretty impressive to do. Part of me is just I'm done picking the Browns, though. If they find ways to lose all the time. But if there is one game the Browns can win at home this season, it's the Jets. Because while the Jets have a up-and-coming quarterback who I like, I don't know. I'm going to go with the Jets here just because I feel like they're a better coached team right now. So, pick number 1, Jets. Pick number 2, we have the Saints at the Falcons. Saints coming off a very disappointing win. I know that sounds weird, but they struggled mightily at home against the Browns. And they're visiting the Falcons, who had a very impressive win, or at least offensively impressive win, over the Panthers. This should be actually a really good game. These two always play each other very tough every year, without question. This is one of the better rivalries in the NFL, just because they play each other so well. I'm going to give this game to the Falcons. I just feel like they're playing a little bit better football right now. The Saints have had 2 bad performances in a row. Just, I don't know. The Falcons are at least showing me something. Next, we have Packers at Redskins. Packers obviously coming off of a wild game at Lambeau Field against the Vikings where they tied in overtime. They should have won that game at one point. They should have lost that game at one point, but ultimately both teams deserve the tie for playing sloppily. And but yeah, Aaron Rodgers looks okay. He's obviously still recovering from that knee injury, but he played well. And they're going to a Redskins team which was great in week 1, not so great in week 2. I do think that the Redskins are going to bounce back a little bit this game. I don't think the Packers are as good as they showed necessarily last week. They obviously play the Vikings tough, but that's a divisional game. Division opponents always play each other tough. That's true across all divisions. I'm going to give this game to the Redskins. I think it'll be a very close game. I do think the Redskins will have a bounce-back game. I think Alex Smith will get things going. But yeah, that's a close game. I'm not too sure about that one, but I'll give it to the Redskins. Colts at Eagles. We have Andrew Luck on his 3rd game of the season. First week was kind of up and down. Second week he played much better. And we have the Eagles team, which is kind of floundering a little bit in the absence of Carson Wentz. Week 1, obviously, they had a good win over the Falcons. But week 2, they kind of struggled to just put up points, and well, they were playing the Buccaneers in Tampa. The Buccaneers, we'll get to them later. That's a story of the season so far. But yeah, the Eagles, they just don't have that mojo going with them right now, and I'm going to give this game to the Colts because I respect Andrew Luck, and I think he's going to continue to improve this season. I don't like the Colts defense at all, and I think even Nick Foles will be able to shred it. But I think Andrew Luck will be able to keep pace and win the game ultimately. It is at Philadelphia, so it will not be an easy win. Close game. That'll be actually a good game. I kind of want to watch that one. It's one of the ones I keep an eye on. I'm going to give it to the Colts. God bless the schedule makers at the NFL. We have the Bills at the Vikings. The Vikings are coming off the tie, like I mentioned before. They cut Daniel Carlson, who had an awful, awful kicking game against the Packers. He had 3 missed field goals, and 2 of them were in overtime, and one of them was only like a 30-yard field goal, and all of them were like wide left, wide right. They were never in the middle where they needed to be. And they cut him, and they signed Dan Bailey, the second most accurate kicker in the NFL history, off the streets. He basically declined a whole bunch of offers because he said he wants to wait for the right team. The Vikings call, and he says, "You are the right team," and he joined them. And I'm so happy, but that's a side note. The Vikings are going to stomp this game. Come on, it's the Bills. The Bills look so terrible right now. I don't know what I'll do if the Vikings lose this game, but it's at home. They're gonna stomp. The Vikings offense could never be on the field, and I think they'd still win this game because they would just turn over Nathan Peterman or Josh Allen, or whoever the quarterback is there, and just score on defense. I don't know. Yeah, Vikings easy. They romp. Raiders at Dolphins. Don't really know what to make of this game. I don't like John Gruden. I don't respect the Dolphins. And I don't mean to upset any fan bases of these people out there. I just say it how I feel. The Dolphins are so kind of mediocre right now. Ryan Tannehill, I'm not a fan of him, but I'm also not a fan of John Gruden. I'm going to give this game to the Dolphins because I think they play really well at home, and they're welcoming a Raiders team, which is kind of not playing very well right now. Derek Carr is playing okay, but they're not being very well coached. So yeah, I'm going to give that game to the Dolphins. We have the Broncos at the Ravens, a rematch of some pretty big playoff games of recent years. Not super recent, but 2014, 2015, they played each other a few times in the playoffs. I'm going to give this game to the Broncos. Case Keenum, I'm digging what he's doing this year. Obviously, I'm a pretty big fan of Case Keenum. I thought he did a great job with the Vikings last year, and he's playing pretty well for the Broncos. And the Ravens, they're not a bad team by any means, but I just think, I don't know, I'm kind of got my faith in Case Keenum. That's all I really got to say about this game. Going with the Broncos. Bengals at Panthers. Bengals undefeated, 2-0, playing great football on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Andy Dalton's having a good year so far. AJ Green's helping him out. I think Joe Mixon, is he hurt still or no? I can't remember. He's playing pretty well. And they're going to the Panthers, who are 1-1. They're coming off a loss to the Falcons. Cam Newton's having a pretty good year. He had a little bit of rough waters against the Falcons, but that was in Atlanta. So, in divisional game, like I mentioned before. I'm going to give this game to the Bengals. I just feel like they're playing really well right now. I feel like if any game this week I pick, that would be the one that I feel like I might lose, because whenever you pick the Bengals to win, they'll probably lose. But I am picking the Bengals. I do think they're playing much better football right now. Giants at Texans. We have Eli Manning, who is kind of struggling this year. Poor offensive line. Really just no help around other than Odell. And their running back, their rookie running back. And they're going to a Texans team that's desperate for a win. Both teams are desperate for a win. Wow. These are both 0-2 teams. Wow. That's kind of scary thought for both these teams. I'm going to give it to the Texans. The Texans have at least played their opponents pretty tough each week. I think Deshaun Watson is due for a win. And it's their home opener. I think that's also a key thing here. The stadium's going to be rocking. I think J.J. Watt is going to make mincemeat of this offensive line on the Giants. And I'm going to give it to the Texans there. Titans at Jaguars. Please, give me the Jaguars. Titans are too beat up right now. I know they won with Blaine Gabbert against the Texans. The Jaguars just took down the Patriots, and I don't see the Titans even close to as good as the Patriots. And I know betting on Blake Bortles is a risky business on its own, but you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I think they get the nice, solid home win. 49ers at Chiefs. This is a good matchup. We have two up-and-coming stars in the NFL. Jimmy Garoppolo on one side, Patrick Mahomes on the other. And the Chiefs are 2-0, coming off two very strong offensive performances. I think Patrick Mahomes has 10 touchdowns and no picks. I think that's what it was. I could be wrong. Jimmy G bounced back from his Week 1 loss and took care of business at home against the Lions. Played pretty well. I do think the Niners roster is kind of battling a lot of injuries right now to the offensive line and the running back, obviously. And they're going to Arrowhead, which is a tough place to play against a really hot Chiefs team. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs. I think they take care of business at home. Should be a good game, though. I just think the Chiefs have a little too much firepower to deal with. We have the Chargers at the Rams, the battle for LA. I mean, I'm sure plenty of articles have said that this week, but it's true. It's the first time I think these two have played in LA since they both moved. The Rams obviously have been beating up these cupcakes the first couple weeks. First, they took care of I guess the Raiders aren't a cupcake this year, but they're not one of the better teams. Then they destroyed the Cardinals. Oh my God, that was bad. The Cardinals played terrible that game. So while the Rams look good, they're unproven against great competition this year. That's a fact. Just remember that. The Chargers are a very up and down team. They took care of business in Buffalo. That's a long trip to Buffalo from LA. So a lot of respect there. They took care of business. They played so well that Vontae Davis retired at halftime. I mean, that was a funny story. I don't know. This is tough. Part of me wants to just label the Rams as a winner, but the Chargers are due for that win where people start to take them seriously. And this would be really. Let me just start off by saying this would be a very close game. This will not be a blowout by either team. I'm going to go with the Rams. Todd Gurley is playing really well, and the team itself is playing really well. But if there was ever a game the Rams should be afraid of, it's definitely this one. I think the Chargers, at least offensively, have plenty of weapons to handle or to challenge this Rams defense. So that could be the game of the week, and I see that's a early afternoon game. So that should be fun to watch. We have Cowboys at Seahawks. Cowboys coming off a nice bounce-back win against the Giants. The Seahawks coming off a close loss to the Bears. Two teams that are kind of disappointing to watch this year. I know the Cowboys just came off a win, but they just don't look that, well-rounded. And the same with the Seahawks. It's just Russell Wilson creating plays. That's all it is, I don't know. I'm going to go with the Seahawks here because I trust Russell Wilson over Dak Prescott, and I think that the Seahawks defense is enough of a pass rush to take advantage of this Cowboys offensive line, and it's in Seattle, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks on that pick. Next we have the Bears at the Cardinals. This should be a pretty lopsided game. The Cardinals might be the worst team in the NFL this year, unless the Bills want to challenge them for that this week. But the Cardinals last week, I think they crossed. There was a crazy stat. They crossed the midfield once the entire game. That's terrible. They had 5 first downs the whole game. That's just unheard of. And the Bears are playing solid football. Say what you want about Mitch Trubisky and stuff, but they're playing good. Khalil Mack's looking great in a Bears uniform. He looks awesome. He's just tearing up. What does he have now? Like 4 sacks already for the team? I think. I could be wrong. But they're playing really well. I'm going to give this game to the Bears because I respect them this year. Bears over Cardinals. Patriots at Lions. Poor Lions. You guys are in for a rough season. I think you guys are going to go off to a 0-3 start here. The Patriots are coming to town. Obviously kind of mad they lost to the Jaguars. Even though it's in Detroit, I don't see the way that the Lions beat the Patriots. I think Gronk alone is just going to destroy this Lions defense. And, yeah, I don't know. Patriots take this game easy. Monday Night Football. We have the Steelers, the 0-1-1 Steelers versus the undefeated 2-0 Bucks, led by Ryan Fitzmagic. This guy has been, Ryan Fitzpatrick throughout his career has always had these stretches where he just plays phenomenally, and then he follows them up with a season where he plays terrible. And this is one of the seasons he's playing phenomenally, at least for this stretch right now. And will that continue? Will he flounder this week? I don't know. It's Monday night what's the Buccaneers' home state? It's in Florida. I know that. I can't remember for whatever reason. Tampa Bay. Yeah, Tampa Bay. It's in Tampa Bay. The Steelers look really just. I'll be honest, you guys. I'm not a fan of the Steelers, mainly because they always play down to the competition when they're on the road. They can never be consistent at home even. Ben Roethlisberger is, I don't like him that much as a player. So I'm just going to give this to the Bucks because I think Ryan Fitzmagic gets it done again. I think they continue to roll, and they take apart the Steelers defense, which looks pretty suspect, in my own personal opinion. So yeah, I'm going to give that game to the Bucks. And that will do it for my Week 3 NFL picks. Don't ever bet with these because clearly I've gone 9-6-1, 9-6-1. For all I know, I'll go 9-6-1 again this week. There'll probably be another tie. I don't know. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Every week I'll post these videos, and kind of cool. This is more of like a passion series for me. I just like sharing my thoughts on football. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, this has been Mighty Gazelle, hoping you all have a mighty day. See you guys.